Well, good morning. It's that time of year again, tax time, when you pay your taxes and then you turn around and find out where they're going. Joining us this morning is State Assemblyman Phil Ting. And I guess it's happy days are here again in California. What are we looking at, a $25 billion budget surplus? Is that right?
There is, but most of it is going to be needed for one-time spending. We don't know that that's going to be continuing forever. We got a recession looming, so we're trying to be pretty prudent.
Oh, we are we? Well, that didn't the impression I got necessarily from the governor earlier this week. Last week, he was holding a press conference announcing that thanks to this one-time surplus, we were going to be extending family leave for people. We were going to be eliminating the taxes on Pampers and giving more tax credits to families. It seemed like he was sprinkling the air with some things that were going to be around for a while and cost money as well.
Well, with the governor, we have only slight differences of opinion. Those were legislative priorities from two of my colleagues, Lorena Gonzalez and Cristina Garcia. They've been fighting for it for quite a while.
Okay, so we're going to take a tax off Pampers, but what about health care for the kids or long-term mental health problems to contribute to homelessness? Are we going to be, that got cut before, are we going to see that come back?
Absolutely, because those are two of our priorities. We want to make sure that we're taking care of the disabled community and seniors, because those were cuts that got taken in the recession that we really haven't brought back. So we want to make sure we prioritize those.
Okay, when you say we make sure we prioritize those, you usually say, wait a minute, Gavin, Huggies are fine, but we've got to do this other thing? Or are we going to have a little back and forth going?
Well, we have three different versions of the budget that come out: the Assembly version, the Senate version, and the governor's version. So the governor goes first, and then us in the Senate will put our versions together in the next 2 weeks. And then we go into budget conference where we reconcile and negotiate the three differences. So some of our priorities are making sure that what was cut needs to really get restored first before we do anything else that's new.
So in other words, what we saw today, this past week, was the Gavin show, the Governor Gavin show. He gets to come out and be the star, right?
Well, that's what the governor gets. The governor gets to come early in January, gets to come early in May, and then we come after the governor.
That's a great place to be in the circus. Okay, next up is high-speed rail. I noticed that in his budget, for all the talks of reining it in or cutting it back or getting realistic, the same amount of money is going from cap and trade, is going right in as if nothing had changed. So is the story really in the money?
No, so what the governor said is that there wasn't enough money to finish to go to San Francisco in LA. So what he said he wanted to do was finish that first leg from Merced to Bakersfield and then keep raising or look at raising more money to go from Fresno to San Jose. And that part's pretty critical for us because we want to make sure we connect Fresno to San Jose to San Francisco, because that electrifying of Caltrain between San Francisco and San Jose is a really important corridor for us. And going from San Jose to Fresno is important for us because of our housing crisis. We can really alleviate that. If you can get from Fresno to San Jose in under an hour or in an hour, that would be a game changer.
That'll be interesting. So let me just ask real quickly, Gavin Newsom and his relationship as mayor of San Francisco, he was very apart from the Board of Supervisors, didn't talk to him very much. How's it up in Sacramento?
Gavin's doing great. He learned, as lieutenant governor, the one thing you do is you have plenty of time. He spent a lot of that time building relationships with the current legislature. That is really paying off. He continues to meet with legislators all the time. In fact, legislators that never met with Jerry Brown, he's met with.
Oh, okay. So, this is the fun part of the budget. Hold on. I want to talk to you in our next segment about the real problem that is facing California, the real one that wasn't even addressed in the budget, okay?
Okay.
All right. It's been 6 months since the tragic Paradise fires, and they are the latest in wildfires in California. And joining us this morning is San Francisco State Assemblyman Phil Ting, who's also chair on the Budget Committee. There are huge, huge financial questions looming over the entire wildfire, PG&E, utilities. Where do we go from here and who pays? I didn't see a word of that in the governor's budget.
Well, what we need to make sure is that PG&E and its shareholders fully pay everything that they are able to pay. But the problem is right now, either way, you're looking at ratepayers or taxpayers paying, and last I checked, we're the same people.
That's right.
So that's the biggest challenge. So First in line has to come the corporate shareholders, all the particular profit. That is all up in the hands of the bankruptcy judge right now. We're obviously weighing in as a state. The biggest challenge is how do you move forward? If this is the new normal, how much money do we have to set aside? What do we need to do about the utility? How much money do they need to set aside? How much forest management? So we put in significant money for forest management as well as fighting fires, but the challenge is it really enough? We know there's a lot of dead trees there, and the biggest challenge is we have people living in the forest that we know are in dangerous areas that are fire-prone areas, and how safe is that?
You've just articulated the entire problem, and it's not just PG&E. It's also in Southern California
Absolutely.
and up and down the state.
Absolutely.
So while PG&E is on the verge of bankruptcy, the entire question of utilities and serving these areas that can go up in flames is still unresolved. And plus, every time we tell PG&E we want more safety, we want more this, as you said, that cost gets passed on to us.
Well, part of it is, if you look at, there is a model. San Diego had pretty horrific fires a number of years ago.
Right.
And San Diego Gas and Electric went aggressively into trimming trees as well as putting in technology that really detects fires. That has potentially become more of the model. So I think not that can stop the fires, but at least we can get to the detection earlier. We can get to the fires
And we'll be
earlier.
paying for that.
Either way, we're going to be paying, because look, you have ratepayers and you have taxpayers. And again, we're the PG&E ratepayers and we're the taxpayers at the same time. So I think we're going to have to, but what we have to make sure is that all the profit that corporation made is on the table, and that the money the shareholders made or are going to make, they have to pay first.
What about the other issue that is sort of in the background, and you mentioned it, is that should people be living in these areas?
That's the biggest question.
That's not going to go away.
Well, that's the biggest question, and they would probably say of us, should we be living in this area because we're living in an earthquake-prone area? The biggest difference is earthquakes, the devastating earthquakes happen every number of decades, and now fires are happening every day. So I think that's a bigger question. There's a great example in LA. A big housing development. I'm a very pro-housing guy, so happy that the housing got approved, but it was approved in a very fire-prone area. And it's sort of like, is it really responsible to knowingly build housing in an area that's already been identified as dangerous and fire-prone?
Okay, in the past, fires weren't as often.
Right.
The fire season wasn't as long.
Yeah.
So you're not talking about something that we're going to maybe see again in a couple of years.
Right, or decades, yeah.
No, this has to be dealt with now,
Yeah.
in the next couple of months, right?
That's right, yeah, because right now we're going into fire season in the summer and the fall, and we're all going with eyes open based on the last 2 years. So we have to have a larger plan on how these fires are going to have to be handled, whether we have a fire or disaster relief fund that's separate from all these. And I think really who ultimately is going to be responsible. Right now, the utilities are 100% responsible. So these last two fires drove our utility into bankruptcy. The question is can utilities still be able to operate under these kinds of circumstances?
Well, the clock is ticking,
Yep.
and the fire season is going to be just around the corner. Thank you for joining us, State Assemblyman Phil Ting.